Iraq is the land of civilizations and secrets, is a very old secret that hides a controversial image that may destroy all that believes in humanity. The story documented the historical underpinnings of the civilizations of the first Earth, talked about by aliens, and searches for gold thousands of years ago and punishment of the human race before leaving, or the terrifying verses of the near-return rule use again. The mysterious Anunnaki image we discussed in previous episodes. Several legends talk about the visit of aliens to the planet Earth and the gift of humanity in ancient civilizations, advanced and highly advanced science that still to this day constitute a mystery that researchers and scientists try to understand, such as how the Pharaohs built the Great Pyramids with their infinite secrets with tools and primitive sciences. Computers are on the traces of multiple civilizations and many unanswered questions, and today took us the search trip to beloved Iraq, the cradle of ancient Sumerian civilization, which hides a secret thousands of years old that may destroy everything that humanity believes in. A secret that decided to light on because of the great noise that was raised about it. And not by the way, they build up their details and aspects. He is dangerous. The legend of the Anunnaki and their relationship to the human race. Let's dive into this legend. And don't forget, my friends, about signing up for our official channels, doing an alert, and following up on the profile's Instagram and Facebook accounts. The Sumerian civilization is one of the oldest civilizations that mankind has ever seen. All we know about it is one of the most developed and advanced civilizations. They were familiar with various sciences, music and art, established modern lung systems, invented boats, wheels, and other things, even spoke the first language and left the first written traces of this civilization back to the forefront. Not because of the above, but because of an old secret found engraved on clay tablets that were recently found and belong to the Sumerian civilization. Tablets that talk about the creation of creatures and the stages that passed through them. Are you ready to go together on the journey of diving in this secret? Let's begin then, with the Anunnaki creatures being the cornerstone upon which the ancient Sumerian legend was built. Some considered them gods, others angels, while others in modern times regarded them as advanced or even alien beings. The word first appeared in ancient Sumerian texts and describes a highly developed and advanced species considered to be gods in Sumerian civilization. While some consider it to mean people from the sky, others consider it to mean people of royal blood. And this is not a coincidence. The meaning acquired by the word reflects their reality, which is still controversial as some consider them aliens coming from a galaxy or another planet, while others are considered mere advanced earthly creatures appointed kings on me. The Anunnaki, according to the ancient writings, are descendants of the god of heaven and the gods of the earth, and the main group of them includes 7 gods: Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Nana, Atto, and Anana. There is an ancient short story about these 7 characters. Of course, all that we mention in this episode of Novels and Legends is to pray for light the beliefs of civilizations. It is only the ancient knowledge and culture that is the right of every spectator, and not to adopt their health. So the story says that they were judges who ruled the heavens and the earth. When Inanna rebelled and decided to take over the underworld, the judges decided to try her for the coup against the regime, and as a punishment, she was destined to die. The list of the descendants of God, that according to the ancient books, as she mentioned, is the only one that has remained since the time of the Sumerian civilization. So the number of Anunnaki, or the descendants of the god An, cannot be accurately determined. A detailed form of the lack of historical documents dealing with this subject. But it is said that the task of the Anunnaki was to determine the fate of the human race. All that is known about the Anunnaki is that they are a highly evolved genus of giants and superhuman abilities. But the strangest thing about these myths which preoccupy everyone is that they created the human race. By God. Yes, legends say that they were the ones who created us through the fusion of their DNA and clay. Were the Anunnaki in Sumerian civilization closely related to the heavenly bodies as they represented the stars in the tropical sky? God, that the stars in the northern sky represented Enlil, and Enki was associated with the stars in the southern sky of the earth. In return, Inanna was considered the Venus planet, while Nana was the moon. It is believed in Sumerian civilization that, in the beginning, the earth and the sky were not separated by the true connection of the gods An and Ki. But they were separated after the appearance of the first individual, Enlil, in their descendants. He separated the earth from the sky so that he took the heaven away and took the land away from him and his mother Ki. It is controversial and strange that it has met with many views in support of it in our modern era, the most prominent of which will be dealt with in the context of the seminar. Are you ready to hear the strange story of Anunnaki? Before we begin, I remind you, my friends, that I am putting this picture out of the great curiosity that has been raised around it, not from the standpoint of building its aspects and details. The story goes back about 500,000 years or so. The year varies according to different sources. Then visited the Earth very advanced creatures in our concept today. They are aliens. And these beings came from a planet called Nibiru. Yes, what you heard is true. A planet called Nibiru, the destructive planet that we heard about over the past years and that was threatening our existence on Earth. It was mentioned in the Maya civilization. It is said that it will destroy the Earth. When the prophecy of the Mayan civilization was not fulfilled, it returned to the forefront this year in 2020 after all the disasters witnessed by humanity, and still based on the idea that we will witness this year the end of the world after the approach of Nibiru to the Earth and impact it. With knowledge that this matter is only known by God Almighty. The Anunnaki journey to Earth was to fulfill a very important mission that is considered a matter of life or death: to collect as much precious metals as possible, especially gold, to restore the atmosphere of their planet, which had become weak and damaged, which will affect life in it, will become impossible over time, if not impossible, according to legend. The Anunnaki did not come alone to the land, but they brought with them a lesser species called Ajigi. Because the status of the Anunnaki as developed creatures meant that they did not do hard work with their own hands, they needed something similar to workers or slaves to do the search for gold. They established mines and colonies, according to Sumerian mythology. 2 centers were mentioned, the first in South Africa, and the second was somewhere in the Gulf. However, no specific bay was identified at that time. Only wild animals and primitive cavemen inhabited the land, according to Sumerian civilization. Years passed quickly until the day when the Ijigi decided to rebel against the Anunnaki, rejecting the conditions under which they worked and the slavery that was imposed. The Ijigi then thought their only hope was to overcome the Anunnaki. Is that true? They never defeated the Anunnaki. The conflict ended between the two parties, and despite the victory of the Anunnaki, they suffered a great loss in turn, losing the workforce that provided them with gold. Does this mean that they had to work themselves to complete the task? No. Here, the legend suggests that the god An asked the daughter of Enki to create a new species of beings to serve them on condition that they were more sophisticated than the Ijigi. After several attempts, Enki succeeded in creating humans and settled in an area called Eden. Yes, the paradise mentioned in the religious books. The first man on Earth, according to the legend, was named Adamu, Adam in the understandable language of our time today. Isn't there an incredible similarity between the Sumerian myth and the events documented in religious texts? Right? Is this myth true or false about what actually happened in the Sumerian civilization? No one knows, except that in 1849, a British researcher and scientist named Austin Henry Layard found clay tablets dating back to the Sumerian civilization at an archaeological site in Nineveh, Iraq. Interestingly, these 14 tablets mention and document the image of the Anunnaki that we discussed and pivotal ancient events mentioned in many religions, most notably the story of the creation of humans and the expulsion from paradise, great and monumental. After the creation of the human race, the work requirements grew larger and more complex. The Anunnaki needed to extract more gold to restore the atmosphere of their planet, which called for a larger workforce. However, this posed a significant challenge because humans at the time could not reproduce. They decided to modify their genes and nuclear incubation to enable reproduction, and it worked. Here, the legend adds that the human race began to multiply to serve the Anunnaki. However, as their numbers increased significantly, it posed a threat to the safety and security of the colony established by the Anunnaki. They decided to expel a large number of humans, which led to the story of Adam's expulsion from the Garden of Eden in Sumerian civilization. This is not all. There are other intriguing details in this ancient Sumerian legend. Over time, the Anunnaki began to intermarry with humans, which angered Enki's brother, Enlil. He rejected the idea of a human taking over the throne of judgment on their planet Nibiru. He began devising a way to get rid of them, considering that humans were not trustworthy. What did he do? In fact, it was nature that acted at that time. Earth witnessed the return of the planet Nibiru to our solar system. It must be mentioned that the 3,600-year cycle of Nibiru's return to the solar system brought about a natural disaster like no other. It affected both the sun and the earth, causing a great flood. Then there was darkness during the day. The earth began to shake as a result of an unknown force. A black cloud arose on the horizon. Thunder roared, lightning appeared in the sky, and the sound of humming began to echo horribly. Enlil decided to return to Nibiru, but some Anunnaki refused and decided to stay on Earth, including the god Enki, who watched the flood from their heavenly chariots. Earth, I pity the creation according to legend, so he decided to ask a select group to build boats for survival. This was the story of the prophet Noah, peace be upon him, as we know it today. It is important to mention a small detail here. As a result of the Great Flood, the colonies of the Anunnaki sank, which some consider a cause of the scarcity of documents and monuments dating back to their time and civilization. After the Great Flood ended, the Anunnaki restored the early Earth and gifted humanity with the advanced Sumerian civilization before returning to their planet Nibiru. However, before they left, they decided to manipulate the genes of certain human groups to establish them as kings over the rest of humanity. Through these kings, they could control human society even in their absence from Earth. This act led to the creation of what we know today as the royal race, or the people of royal blood. It strengthened the modern social class system. Interestingly, according to legend, the Anunnaki will return to Earth to rule the people they supposedly created. This myth has garnered the support of a wide segment of people, most notably the writer Zecharia Sitchin, who presented this narrative in his book, The 12th Planet. Sitchin theorized that humans carry Anunnaki DNA and that civilization on Earth began only after the arrival of the Anunnaki thousands of years ago, who came in search of resources. He also pointed out that the Anunnaki were using sound as a remarkable energy source. Sitchin's books became very popular and were translated into more than 20 languages. It is noteworthy that he studied economics at the University of London. However, his writings delved into the origin of Earth and humanity's origins, ideas that were published widely. Some may wonder why Sitchin's theory has such broad appeal. The reason, as some suggest, is that it addresses central questions that have puzzled humanity for years. Why were we created? And who created us? Religions offer comprehensive answers to these questions, but Sitchin's narrative provides a mythological and speculative alternative that fascinates many. On the other hand, there are opposing views to Sitchin's claims, most notably those of Dr. Michael Heiser, a specialist in ancient Semitic and Hebrew languages. Dr. Heiser argued that Sitchin's interpretations contradict known facts about our solar system and celestial bodies. He claimed that Sitchin's conclusions rely heavily on personal interpretation rather than historical or scientific evidence. The word Anunnaki and its references in Sumerian literature do not appear to have any connection to a planet named Nibiru or a 12th planet, as Sitchin suggested. Despite this, the Anunnaki myth persists, particularly since the term Anunnaki was not only present in the Sumerian civilization, but also appeared in later civilizations such as Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian cultures, albeit with variations in details. What remains certain is that Earth is rich with diverse civilizations and filled with countless fascinating legends. The dividing line, my friends, is what you choose to believe in and what we keep in the realm of stories and novels. The biggest mystery remains. Is there life on other planets in this vast universe? Have we ever been visited by aliens before? This is the story of the Anunnaki. Only God knows the secrets of ancient civilizations and the truth of their narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments And don't forget to share this video with your friends and subscribe to this channel.